Hi, I'm Daniel Martin with Studio Atlanta. Today I want to do a little bit of a test. I've got my wedding camera that I shoot most everything with at weddings. It's a Canon 6D full frame with a battery grip, Godox flash to control flashes around the room, and a flash on top of the camera. And yes, it's as heavy as it looks, if not heavier. The whole thing probably weighs close to 6 pounds, and after a few hours it really gets to wearing on, especially an old guy like me. But with this camera, it's what we shoot most everything with. What we're going to do for an experiment today is we're going to take a vlogging camera, just a little Lumix made by Panasonic G100. Got a little flip out screen. It's mostly made for blogging. It has what's called a micro 4/3 sensor in it, which compared to my Canon, which is full frame, this is a whole lot smaller, and your quality of pictures is going to be a lot better with a full frame. They also have a medium format camera, which is bigger than the full frame, but hardly anyone uses those in digital, at least that I know. So full frame is the most popular for wedding photographers. The highest selling cameras are probably the APS-C. They're about they're about 1.6 times smaller, 2/3 the size of a regular full frame sensor. The APS-C, they're smaller, and they sell for a lot less money. So a lot of people use them. They're probably the biggest seller of all the cameras, the APS-C, because they are cheaper. They have a few things that are not quite as good. They're not as good in low light as a full frame. And if you've got a lens that's 24-105, it's got a crop factor on it of 1.06. So if you put a 24-105 camera on an APS-C camera, your lens suddenly becomes about a 36 to a 150, somewhere in there. So it's good if you want to zoom in, but it's not great for weddings. I mean, I've used it for weddings before. I have them as backup as a wedding. They'll get the job done. But this little camera has what's called a micro 4/3 sensor, and it is even smaller than an APS-C. I would say it may be almost half the size of an APS-C, which again is almost half the size, a little bigger than half the size of a full frame. So I want to show you today that we can take this little Lumix camera, which is mostly made for blogging, and if we set up our lights right, we can get some good pictures with this. They might not blow up to 40x60 and look as great because the sensor's not that big, but for a little carry-around camera, and you don't need anything bigger than say 11x14, I think this little camera will do the job. We're going to check it out. So I'm going to shoot some pictures of my wife Denise here in just a few minutes, and we'll let you know what we can get from this. Click subscribe down at the bottom. Hit like. We appreciate it. For our lighting setup today, we have as our main light a Godox 300, and it's set to 1/32 of a power and 1/3. For our fill light, it's also a Godox, but it's a Godox 200. It's also set at 1/32 and 1/3 power. It's set to the same, but this one is 100 watt seconds left, and it's a little further back, so that should give us about the half stop difference we want between the two. And we do have a backlight behind her. So let's check this out. A little bit of a smile. Twice. And closer. Might come in a little bit right here. There. Good smile. Touch it over to the right, back up straight. Good smile. That's good. All right, turn and face the other way. Bring your chin back this way. Take your glasses off. Glasses on. Step back, good smile. That looks good. I'll go up just a tad. Come back a little more. There, keep that smile. Very good. All right, so that's what we got with this little Lumix. Let's see what we can get with the Canon full frame. Much heavier. Perfect, like that. Does that smile? Arch your back. All right, now turn back, face the main light. Give it a little bit more on your head. Good smile. Touch it over this way for me. Very good. Okay. Okay, so that concludes our shoot comparing the Canon 6D full frame to the Lumix micro 4/3 sensor. So let's have a look at these pictures and see which ones they look the best, or see if we can even tell the difference. So let's have a look. So how many of those did you get right? I have to admit that was really close. I noticed in the camera, the Lumix ones seemed a little bit more yellow straight out of the camera, and the Canon ones were a little bit more magenta. With a few, fixes on that, it can't tell the difference hardly. I will say though, if you were to shoot a wedding with a micro Four Thirds sensor, it wouldn't be ideal because you can't go high speed sync with your flash, and you also, with this micro Four Thirds sensor, you don't want to go anything over 8x10. You could probably do an 11x14 iffy. You definitely would want to do a 16x20 or bigger. But for the small pictures on the internet, and if I had somebody who just needed some 5x7s and 8x10s, grab the Lumix. Want to stick it in your pocket. If you're traveling, out of town on vacation, wherever, take the Lumix with you. It's fine. It does a great job. As you can tell, it's hard to tell the difference on those pictures. So I'm pretty impressed. So